Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a throwaway account about 7 months ago in the True Off My Chest subreddit. The post is titled, "My husband's open marriage suggestion backfired on him. My husband and I have been together for 7 years, married for 4 of them. We don't have any kids and we don't intend to. 2 years ago, Leo asked me for an open marriage. I was devastated at the time. I couldn't understand why he didn't just want me. I couldn't even comprehend the idea of sharing him either. He gave me the same song and dance a lot of men give their spouses, swore up and down that he loved me. I just wasn't fulfilling his needs. He needed more than what I could give. It was just to spice up our life. It was just sex. I did ask if there was someone else. He said no. To this day, I'm still not sure if I believed him, but at the time I was angry and hurt and said no. He pestered me to change my mind for a week before giving me an ultimatum, open marriage or divorce. I chose the open marriage. I just couldn't bear the thought of him leaving me at the time. We have rules. We can't bring any partners home. We have to get tested for sexually transmitted diseases every 3 months. 1 weekend out of the month must be left free for us time. Any money we spend with our partners must come from our personal accounts. I didn't partake in the open marriage myself for the first 3 months. Leo obviously did right away. He seemed to be gone or out late almost all the time, but he always acted so happy and loving towards me while I felt like I was dying inside. It killed me to think he was sleeping with other women, and I felt so lonely and unattractive and not good enough. I told my sister Katie and a few close friends everything. Katie told me to just play his game and be part of the open marriage too. If he can sleep around, so could I. I honestly didn't have much confidence in myself at the time. I'm a bit overweight and I've never considered myself conventionally pretty. I was afraid this would just humiliate me further. Katie and my best friend Jessie set up my online dating profiles for me. I got so many matches that it was overwhelming. When I told Leo, he was surprised but told me to do whatever I thought was best. Jessie helped me choose my first date, and I actually had a great time. He didn't pressure me for sex and took me out to drinks and dinner. We did have sex eventually, but it was all just casual and we didn't see each other after a couple of months of casual dating. That first guy really made me feel more confident in myself, so I kept going on dates with men. A lot of them wanted to treat me, so I didn't have to spend much of my own money. Not only that, but some of the men have given me the best sex I've ever had in my life. Almost like the kind of sex you read in romance novels. It's been amazing. I am currently seeing 2 different men alongside Leo. One, Mark, is more of a steady boyfriend I've been with for about 6 months, and the one, Steven, very casual, mostly just hanging out and sex. They know about my open marriage and other relationships and are fine with it. My husband has not been so lucky. In the beginning, he definitely was. He was always out and about and didn't seem to care even when I started dating too. But now he just complains a lot and hasn't been going out much. He whines about how he's usually the one spending money. A lot of the women he tries to be with want an emotional connection before sex. He often wants to be with younger women, but they want younger men. He's also been upset that I go out with random guys so often while he's at home alone all the time. He hasn't asked to close the marriage yet, but I feel like he will soon. He keeps saying he misses us and wants to spend more time together. He tried to initiate sex a lot more too. He wants to go on dates and go on vacations and all of that stuff more and more. And he gets upset when I tell him I can't because I've already scheduled to do stuff with my partners, mostly Mark. Honestly, I don't think I love Leo anymore. I care about him, but I just don't love him. I'm not saying I love Mark or Steven, but I honestly feel closer to Mark nowadays than I do Leo. Mark makes me feel comfortable and safe, and I love spending time with him more than my own husband. Steven is funny and sweet and really good at sex. Katie and Jessie have been wanting me to divorce for a year now, but I was afraid of hurting him and thought I still loved him. But I think my love for him died when he asked for this open marriage in the first place. Seeing him get all pissy about it now just because he's not benefiting from it is also a turnoff for me too. But I don't know if divorce is the best option. I still care about him and I still don't want to hurt him. Maybe if he finally asks to close the marriage, we can talk about it then. Update. Hi everyone. I got so many comments and messages on my last post that I was a bit overwhelmed, especially when a lot of you kept saying the same thing. Divorce, divorce, divorce. But the thing is, I think a part of me does still love my husband. I know in my last post that I didn't think I loved him anymore, but I can't just forget about the things that I do love. I love when he sings in the shower. I love when he laughs so hard he snorts. I love when he kisses my forehead when I've had a bad day. I love when he holds my hand when we watch TV together. Leo has done a lot of shitty things, but he really isn't the big asshole people think. Maybe that was my fault. But even if I do still love him, I'm not in love with him anymore. I don't think I have been for a while. I care about him, a part of me does still love him, but you all were right. I should have just divorced him when he gave me that ultimatum in the first place. This past Saturday, we had the big talk. I initiated it, but he didn't seem too surprised. I just told him that I noticed he didn't seem to like me going out with Mark or Steven and asked if there was a problem. He said there was, but he didn't ask me to close the marriage. He just asked me if I still loved him. I said something like, not like I used to. He broke down crying, which made me cry. I guess he had known for a while that I wasn't in love anymore, but he had hoped he could win me back if he funneled all of his energy into me. I was honest and told him that during those first 3 months of our open marriage, I think my love for him died and I just couldn't get it back. I did tell him that I still cared about him and that I did love him, but it's not the same as it was. He asked if I loved Mark or Steven and I said no. I like being with them and I care about them a lot, but I can't say I'm in love with either of them. I also finally asked him why he wanted the open marriage in the first place. A lot of you in the comments said he already had someone lined up, and you were right. He had someone at work he was interested in and she wanted him too. The open marriage was just to get permission. He honestly never expected me to also get my own partners because of how unconfident I was, but he didn't want to stop me either because he thought nothing would come of it. He didn't really like me seeing other men, but he knew it wouldn't have been fair to tell me no when I gave him permission first. I guess Mark and Steven made him insecure because I was spending so much time with them on a regular basis. The open marriage was just sex on the side for him. He only did hookups and they never lasted long. He genuinely always just loved only me. But he thought I was falling in love with my partners and he was losing me and wanted to win me back. We cried a lot and talked a lot. We've decided to get a divorce. Since the house is in his name, I'm going to move out and live with Katie for a while. He told me I didn't have to and I could stay until the divorce was finalized, but I just can't. It's too hard to even look at him sometimes. I don't know how I feel, to be honest. I thought I would be relieved or sad, but I'm just tired. I wish I could have been like you all wanted me to be, clapping back or being sarcastic and snarky or rubbing it in his face, but I don't feel like I've won anything. I just feel lost. Update 2. Hey, it's been a while. It feels like both a lot and nothing has happened. I still have a lot of feelings, but I'm also just really tired. Leo and I are still in the middle of our divorce. It's been as amicable as a divorce can be. Since we mutually agreed to it and we had a prenup, it's been pretty easy splitting everything else 50-50. My lawyer says I should be divorced by the end of the year. Leo is insistent on giving me alimony, but I'm not really interested. Thanks to a lot of people making me think about Leo's explanation for the open marriage, I did approach him about it again and asked him to be 100% honest with me about that girl from work. He admitted there was more to it than he admitted. This is what he explained to me, and I have decided to believe him. Even if he's lying, it doesn't really matter anymore since we're getting divorced. I also just have little energy to care about the details at this point. According to him, this is the timeline. He was posting on Reddit about his kinks for advice and such. He was getting messages from this one user and they just kept talking back and forth. He mentions my name to the user in a conversation. During his lunch break, his co-worker, I'll call her Mary, approaches him and asks if he uses Reddit and asks about his handle. He confirms and then Mary tells him he's the user he's been talking to. They start talking more and more in real life as friends and eventually start talking through Instagram. The conversations were mostly just memes and jokes with occasional flirts or mentioning of kinks. At one point, she says it's too bad he's not single. This is when he decided to demand the open marriage because Mary was clearly into him and into the same kinks, and she could sexually satisfy him since I was unable to. Truth be told, we did have some bed difficulties before the open marriage was brought up. I'm very vanilla and he discovered his kinks after we were married. I tried them all for him, but I just couldn't get into it. And he didn't like seeing me struggle, so he didn't try to bring them into the bedroom again after it was obvious I didn't like it. So we did have sexual compatibility issues. Maybe we were doomed to fail even without the open marriage ultimatum. Our families were shocked when we told everyone we were getting a divorce. They always thought we were so happy and in love. My mom blames me, which I expected, but it still hurts. They don't know about the open marriage, and Leo and I plan to keep it that way. I think he is ashamed to tell them. I am too, if I'm being honest. I really thought Leo was the love of my life. He was my first for almost everything. I said we were together for 7 years, but we were friends since college. I've known him for nearly 12 years, and we're about to become strangers soon. I still mourn my marriage, even though Katie and Jesse keep telling me this is for the best. They're both definitely thrilled. They don't hide it, but they also know this has been a weird time for me. I just don't know how to feel. I thought I would feel free or relieved or heartbroken or something, but I just feel weird. Like I lost a part of myself and I don't know how to get it back. I'm still living with Katie, but I'll be moving out soon. I found a 1-bedroom apartment that's near Jesse, so I won't be completely alone. Mark offered to let me move in with him, but I declined. Honestly, we're kind of on standby. He knows I'm having a hard time processing my feelings about my husband and the end of my marriage. I think he wants us to be official, but I don't know. I really do like Mark and I don't want to lose him, but I feel like I need to figure myself out first. As for Steven, we ended our relationship at the beginning of August. He got a job offer in another state and took it. Even though it was casual, I did cry a little. Steven is a great guy. Whenever he does decide to settle down into something serious, the woman who gets him will be a lucky one. We've been texting here and there, but it's mostly just sending each other TikToks and polite "hope you're doing well" messages. Some people asked me if I wanted to go back to monogamy even after experimenting and clearly getting into this poly relationship I had going on. And the answer is yes, I do. Even though Mark and Steven were great and I met plenty of great guys during my open marriage, I don't know if I've really been happy with myself or my choices. I also think I felt guilty a lot too. Like I was somehow cheating on Leo, Mark, and Steven, even though it was all consensual. Polyamory and open relationships may work for some people, but it's really just not for me. Jesse says I need to get a therapist. I have tried looking, but finding a therapist that's both available and seems like a good fit is a pain. Hopefully, I can find one by the time the divorce is settled. I also want to figure out what to do about Mark on my own. I don't want to lead him on and give him false hope. Maybe we should take a break, or maybe I should tell him to just break up with me. He should find his own happiness without worrying about me. Update 3. Hey everyone, hope you all had happy holidays and a good new year. This post is just sort of a rambling update. It was honestly thanks to you internet strangers that I'm doing much better than I had been last year. So I felt I owed you all a life update. Firstly, it's official. Leo and I are divorced. It was finalized earlier this week. To be honest, when I realized it was finally over, I cried. But it wasn't a sad morning cry like I had been doing when I first posted to Reddit. It was mainly out of relief. Relief that it was over and relief that I could actually put everything all behind me. Some of you will be happy to know that I did take the alimony Leo offered. It's honestly not too much, but it'll help me maintain some extra expenses. To be honest, I think he mainly offered it to appease his guilt after everything that happened. Whatever his reasons are, they're not my concern anymore. I do have a therapist now. She's wonderful and is helping me work through a lot of untangled childhood trauma that ended up having an effect on my marriage. Honestly, if it wasn't for my mom, I don't think I would have ever agreed to the open marriage in the first place. A lot of people speculated that it was Leo that ruined my self-esteem, but it was always my mother. My therapist is helping me come to understand that my mom is and probably always will be a toxic individual. I'm trying to work on my boundaries and slowly limiting my contact with her. It's hard, but I'm trying. As for Leo, my therapist advised me to close the door on him. He originally wanted us to be friends. Despite the progress I've made, he still has an effect on me. Many of his messages were him trying to persuade me to give him another chance or him promising to be the husband I deserve. My therapist said I needed to be firm with my boundaries, and sometimes the best way to be firm is to draw a hard line. So I asked him not to contact me for a few months while I sorted myself out. So far, he's complied for the most part. He still follows me on Instagram and we're still Facebook friends, but he never comments on any of my posts or messages me on my stories. Sometimes he'll like something, but that's the extent of our contact, which I can handle. I have also made sure to keep myself from checking up on him per the advice of my therapist, because I don't want to obsess over him and the what ifs. Even after everything, I don't hate him. I thought I needed to because everyone else seemed to for what he did. My therapist explained that it's easier to hate someone you don't know than someone you do because I have so many wonderful and cherished memories that I can't fully separate from the painful memories he left with me. So I don't hate him. I don't even think him to be a bad person. He's selfish and self-centered, and he hurt me a lot, but he can also be funny and sweet and attentive, and that was why I fell in love with him in the first place. I'm still seeing Mark. I had tried telling him that we should break up because of my weird headspace, and I thought he deserved better, but he said he loved me and wanted to wait for me and promised to go at my pace for however long I needed. I want to believe him when he says that, and I love being with him, so I'm cautiously optimistic about it all working out. We still don't live together, and I kind of like it that way for now. I'm learning to become my own person again. Leo had been in my life for so long that I forgot what it was like to just be me and not me and Leo. I even got a dog, which I always wanted but never got one because Leo was allergic. His name is Iro, and thanks to him, I don't feel lonely. This will probably be my last update. I really just wanted to say thank you all for your kind words and support on all my posts. It really meant a lot to me. So thank you and have a great new year. User Struck Down said, I'm glad the divorce is finalized. How did this guy not realize it's easier for women to find replacement dudes? To this user, Jojo said, maybe he thought women hit the wall at 30 and no one wants them, but men age like wine, so he would be flooded with significantly younger women wanting 34-year-old married man who won't commit to them and doesn't want to expend too much effort to woo them. User Dave Kayao said, the OP's transformation from her low up to and including the first post, and her joyous final update were great to see. Once again, an open marriage request is just someone looking for permission to cheat with the person they've already picked out. Leo, he thought the OP was incapable of attracting other men, so he could do what he liked. He didn't care how it would make her feel. I've enjoyed watching him go through the find out and around process. All the best to the OP. This next post was made in the relationship subreddit by a deleted user over 10 years ago. The post is titled, My roommate and best friend threw out my abortion pill and has generally gone insane. I have no idea what to do. My best friend Sarah and I have been friends since she was a freshman and I was a sophomore at our college. We were assigned to be roommates and got along great and decided to room together for the next year. We never had any problems before this and were inseparable. We are even in the same sorority and have the same major. A few weeks ago, I found out I was pregnant by my boyfriend Harold. We both discussed what to do and decided that abortion was the best choice for both of us. I decided to have a medical abortion, and since Harold couldn't drive me to the clinic because he had a final, Sarah agreed to go with me. Sarah was originally very supportive and held my hand as I took the first pill in the office. She was in the room when the doctor explained that I should take the second pill after 24 hours and that I would have to do it at home. Harold came over after his final and kept me company and spent the night. After a night of cramping and bleeding, I woke up yesterday morning to find that the second pill was missing from its pack. I put the pill on my nightstand so that I wouldn't lose it. The pack was still there, but the pill was missing. Sarah is the only one with access to my room. I asked Harold if he had messed with the pill and he said no. Why would he if he doesn't want this child any more than I do? So that left Sarah as a suspect, so I waited until she woke up to ask her about it. That's when she flipped her shit. She started screaming at me how I was a baby killer and that she hopes I bleed out from the abortion. Then she told me that she had a dream that my child would grow up to cure Ebola and that she threw away my pill to protect my child, as well as the extra birth control packs I had gotten from the school nurse to last over the summer. She took photos and uploaded them to Facebook with the caption, OP is a baby killing whore who can't keep her legs shut. Luckily, all of her friends and our sorority sisters instantly defended me and told her how crazy she was. Reddit, I'm stuck in the same room as her for all of our summer classes, which will last until July. We are in the same sorority and will have to see each other twice a week until I graduate. Is there anything I can do legally? Is what she posted online illegal? I'm so confused. Update. I will try to make this as clear as possible even though I'm typing it during a work break. Immediately after I posted on Reddit, a lot of you had the same advice to report her to the nursing board, residence life, the nursing department at our college, to the police, to the sorority, and to her parents. I decided to report her to all of the above while hiding at the sorority house. Early yesterday morning was when Sarah made her Facebook post about me, and it took only until after lunch for my sorority sisters to start texting me like mad. This was not the first time that Sarah had shamed another sorority sister for having an abortion, and that particular woman, we will call her Emily, was one of the highest ranking members. Emily was the one who called the meeting to have Sarah kicked out for a breach of the code of conduct. Meanwhile, Residence Life was busy trying to contact Sarah's parents after I showed them her Facebook rants. After the sorority contacted Sarah, she flipped out yet again on Facebook and started to rant about how she wanted to die. The RA on duty had decided to go speak to her to see if they could help. At this point, it was clear to everyone that Sarah was not right in the head, because she was screaming at her through the door crack. Sarah refused to answer the door, so the RA decided to escalate it higher, and no one saw Sarah until the sorority meeting. At the meeting, everything seemed to be okay. Sarah was the last person to arrive, and she just took her seat and acted normal. It was eerie to see her gush over everyone only hours after she pulled her stunt. Only about half of the sorority was present, but the president decided to proceed regardless. It only took 2 minutes for us to vote unanimously to kick her out. Emily sat next to me the whole time. To put it mildly, Sarah did not take this well. She turned bright red, spit on the ground in front of Emily and me, and ran out of the room screaming. We called campus police on her as she left. After the meeting, Sarah returned to our dorm room. The Res Life administrator tried to speak to her, but she refused to answer the door for over 20 minutes. They had to call the police to kick down the door because she was holding the handle on the inside, so they couldn't unlock the door. The police showed up, kicked down the door, and found the dorm destroyed. All the furniture had been smashed, the carpets were covered in food from the refrigerator, and she had painted random swear words on the wall in what looks like blood. They found photos of Harold covered in lipstick in her purse. She resisted the police trying to peacefully convince her to accompany them to the hospital. Sarah was taken to the hospital and charged. She is still in the hospital today undergoing a psych evaluation. The hospital, Sarah and I were both interns working for the hospital that operates the pregnancy clinic. I reported her to HR for theft, harassment, and privacy violations, along with giving them screenshots from Facebook. As of this morning, Sarah did not turn up for work, so she was terminated for no call, no show. HR had me in their office for an hour this morning asking if I would like to press for a HIPAA investigation. I said yes because there's no way it would hurt for Sarah to be investigated. HR also notified the nursing board and the nursing department at my college independently of my reports. So I think that's pretty much everything. Sarah has been arrested and charged, kicked from the sorority, fired from her job, kicked out of the dorms, and numerous reports were made to the proper authorities. I still care for Sarah with all of my heart, because I realize that she is severely mentally ill. I will always blame her for what she did to me, but I know that it wasn't the best friend that I knew for all those years. It was a different person who did that to me. I am feeling physically fine after all of this. Harold and I are talking about getting an apartment off campus together. If that doesn't work out, I will stay in the sorority house. Sarah's parents have promised to pay me back for the abortion costs because they know I didn't do anything wrong. I'm grateful that I have their support. User FTJ said, anti-abortion stuff aside, Sarah sounds like she had a psychotic break. The commenter that mentioned how she had a son who had a mental illness episode around the same age reminds me that late teens to early 20s is the age range for schizophrenia onset. To this user, Husky said, just for awareness sake, men typically develop schizophrenia in their late teens to early 20s. Women usually develop it in their late 20s to early 30s. There is early onset schizophrenia, which is rarer but still possible. I'm in the age bracket for my gender and learned I'm at risk when my older sister developed it 2 years ago, and the family finally revealed she wasn't the first, just the first person in the last 2 generations to develop it. I've got about another decade before I truly clear the risky age bracket. User FF Nord said, I wonder where she got the crazy anti-abortion views from when her parents seem really supportive of OP and are doing their best to rectify their daughter's actions. This third story was made in the TIFU subreddit about 2 months ago by a user named FewWish. The post is titled TIFU by volunteering to drive my professor to the airport. So I'm a political science major at my college, and honestly, it is a lot harder than I expected. I love my major so much and hope to pursue law one day, but this semester in particular has bogged me down. My international relations class is what's really kicking me. The professor loves to favor her students that are in the student club, that she is the advisor for and actively dismisses anyone who is not a part of it and not interested in joining, and this reflects in myself and the other students' gradebooks. English is also not her first language, and although I will say, even if she has a thick accent, she does speak English just as well as a natural-born citizen. However, she doesn't always pick up on comprehension, and that has led to so many problems that I can't even begin to explain. Trust me, I have tried complaining about it to no avail. Anyway, I found out that we would be having our final in 2 days when I was prepared for it to be during the actual finals week, and I got really freaked out that I was going to flunk, because even though I know the material, I know she'll grade me poorly because she flat out doesn't like me. Well, here's where I fucked up. We were having class today, and as I was having a panic attack, my ears perked up. She asked if anyone could take her to the airport this next Tuesday, and if they could, she would pay them $50. I looked around, waiting for someone to offer up, but no one did, and I sort of felt bad because even though she has been downright rude to me, it makes me sad to think this is the first year she is spending without her husband as he died last semester. She was taken aback by my volunteering, but gave me her phone number and her address at the end of class. And I told her extremely confidently that she didn't need to pay me $50 because it really wasn't that far of a drive for me. She then sort of gave me this weird look and told me that she absolutely had to pay me for the gas as we would be going through a lot of it. I then said that our airport in our city wasn't that far and it really wasn't any bother. She then raised her eyebrow and made her signature condescending look before informing me that she was going to the Atlanta airport, which is at best 2 hours away from me according to Apple Maps' feature where you can look at the estimated time on a specific date, but I've heard Atlanta traffic is horrible, so it's probably going to be 3 hours. So I do have a final that Tuesday at 1 p.m. However, I did inform her of this and warned her it could make me late, and she might want to find someone else, but also it's a blow-off class. And his final is supposedly about 30 minutes to take, and she lives close. Also, I have not factored in whether or not she is traveling internationally, which, judging off her painfully thick Italian accent, she probably is. I haven't heard much from her about any family that lives in the States with her. If so, I assume she needs to be there 3 hours early, and from my best estimates, if I leave at 1:30 and I don't get slammed by traffic, I get her there by 4 when her flight is at 7. I also have been thinking about asking my blow-off professor if I can take his exam earlier because of this obligation. We'll see about that. I'm sticking to my guns. My boyfriend and my friends said that this was crazy of me to do, but I absolutely hate flaking on people, especially when she's my mom's age. And even if they're nothing alike, it still makes my heart break thinking about if my mom only had a little dog with her to make her happy and no one to drive her to the airport and no second income to help pay for an Uber to the airport or another person to come with her on her journey. I have some things I got to do first, which includes cleaning and scrubbing my car out of any weed smell because it's been so cold outside, and unfortunately, my car has taken the brunt of my stress from this class. I need to get my oil changed because it's over 1,000 miles over when my car light went on, and I'm not trying to have my car explode on the road and die with this woman, and I need to brainstorm some topics to talk about with her because I am determined to be best friends with her by the end of this because I will undoubtedly have more courses with her throughout my time. Sorry, I know that's a lot, and I doubt anyone took the time to read all of this. If you're giving advice or commentary, don't try to convince me to back out of this. I don't have a good enough reason not to do this, and I am not the kind of person to go back on my word. User Escape from Elba said, I feel like the benefits do not outweigh the potential costs. At most, you'll get some brownie points, but you could go through all of this and end up in an even worse position if things don't go swimmingly. User Aquarian Dragon said, when you learned it was to Atlanta, you could have apologized, citing you assumed it was the local airport, and you have a final that won't allow for you to leave earlier if traffic to Atlanta makes it necessary. It's weird that she asked students for a ride, especially of that nature during finals week. Update. I don't know if anyone cares for an update, but seeing as I had as many comments as I did upvotes, and the majority of those comments were screaming and begging for me to not go through with this plan, I think you guys might like to hear that it was a success. Here are some answers to some questions. No one died. She did not smell the weed in my car. We even had a conversation about the legalization of cannabis to the extent where I don't think she suspected me to be a user at all. Yes, it was to the international airport. Yes, my GPS up a million times. We do go to a smaller school where professors are encouraged and even hired/fired based on whether or not they do a good enough job on kindling student-professor relationships. She did offer more money even after I dropped her off. I told her no. She told me she would give me a gift from Italy. Basically, that day I accidentally said yes to drive my Italian professor to an airport 2 hours away from us. I put my weed out of my car and into my apartment, and I aired out my car for not 1 but 4 days with the windows down. I also regularly sprayed it with Febreze and other car scents. I then took it to a car wash, and the guy there gave me a free premium wash on my car because my card wasn't working for some reason. So then I got to scrub the living hell out of my car and vacuum every last square inch and each little flake of ash and fallen bud. Then that day, my laptop decided to die right when I needed to take my final. That was before I needed to pick up my professor, so I was 15 minutes late and with an empty tank, but she paid for my pump and her dog sat quietly in the back seat. I awkwardly told her she could look at my CDs if she wanted to play music because all I had was a speaker for podcasts. However, she simply said no and that we could find other things to talk about during the car ride, and we did. We talked for 2.5 hours about social justice, international politics, traveling, life, family, and learning. It was actually the best conversation I had had in a long time. Although I did freak her out with my bad driving skills and forgot that there was a time change, so we got there at 5 and not 4 like I had planned, so we were not only stuck in work traffic, but an hour late to a busy airport when her flight departed at 7. It was really refreshing to talk to someone who has gone through so much change. She grew up and learned in Italy before her late husband, who was then her boyfriend, convinced her to go to the States so he could teach at a prestigious university. She has since bounced around the United States and around the world, working with different international organizations and teaching at many different good schools before she made her way to mine. I have no idea why she stays at my school, and I asked her why she has stayed there since her husband has passed this last year and all her family lives in Italy. She simply said that she loves her independence, that she loves change, and that when she feels like there is another good opportunity, she'll change again, but where she is now, she has a lot of love and support. But that love and support is also key to change. Even if you don't have a partner or someone to travel with or to, knowing that you have loved ones that are rooting for you, no matter where they are in the world, that is what makes change so easy for her, because the love never changes, even if the flight numbers do. She also told me I didn't need to live such a strict life plan. Some backstory, but I was born in France, which makes it much easier to get citizenship there since the nation recognizes that I have a stronger connection to their country than someone who was not born in their country. I sort of always thought that I would just do my undergrad, go to law school, and live near my parents and my boyfriend so I could be with them and take care of my family. When I told her my plan, she tried her best not to wrinkle her nose and told me that although it's unsolicited advice, my connection to France, a strong country in the EU, was too good of an opportunity to not pass up. After all, if I did have French citizenship, I would be eligible to work, live, vote, and have access to services in any and all EU or EAA countries. She told me that living near my family was fine and that she understood that well enough, but that I also have other family to take care of them and that she doesn't want me to fall into what so many women do. I agreed with her when she said that she has only heard women say that they need to live near their parents or their partner because someone has to be the caretaker, and that it's never men opting out of opportunities or bigger horizons because they're worried about getting married or taking care of their parents. At the end of it, I felt like I had thought about things I had never given myself the room to think about because I didn't want to dream about things that wouldn't happen. But now I know that they could happen and that I have more opportunities than most to live a crazy life. And I'm glad I talked to someone who loved change so much because I was able to finally understand why someone could. Also, I officially signed up to take her film class next semester. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, GamerSupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.